CORE is an EU-funded security project with unique participation from the United States to help deliver its aim of establishing global trade lanes. Too often, freight data is delivered to customs late and is incomplete and inaccurate. The three most important things that customs need to know for risk analysis are 1. The names of the true buyer and seller, 2. An accurate description of the goods, and 3. The country of origin. However, in many cases, accurate information on who owns the goods and who they are being sold to is missing, as consignor and consignee are shown as the consolidator and the deconsolidator, who sometimes can be simply two branches of the same company. This is useless for risk assessment as you do not know the buyer, the seller, or the country of origin. The same is true for what actually is in the box. Too many descriptions are incomplete or false. This is not surprising. Carriers do not know what boxes contain. In many cases, they must submit the entry summary declaration days before the export manifest and the bill of lading are produced. Is it any wonder, therefore, that FAK and said to contain are commonplace in declarations? However, the information certainly exists. Somebody invoiced somebody else for the goods. If we are to solve this, we need secure mechanisms to collect and distribute information which are inexpensive and, even more importantly, provide collateral benefits, so that industry is eager to implement them for their own sake. Providing information to customs will then be a byproduct, though a very important byproduct. If we can produce early, accurate and complete data, then the different border agencies will be able to align their controls and formalities, and we will achieve coordinated border management. This will lead to a transition from the current transaction-based supervision to system-based supervision, where the focal point of assessment is no longer the transactions and the paperwork, but the system of controls which generates the transactions. For efficient data collection and distribution, we need to reduce the friction costs that hamper the transmission of data and create mechanisms for seamless interoperability in the exchange of data in B2B, B2G, and G2G. We also need innovative security technologies that are more efficient and not as intrusive as present ones, so that important security data can be collected and distributed at lower transaction costs. If we manage this, we will have visibility of end-to-end supply chains, visibility of risks so that we can monitor them and manage them, and the most important of all, resilience, i.e., the ability to do something about incidents, either to prevent them or to cope with the consequences with minimum disruption. To achieve coordinated border management, we need mechanisms for uploading data efficiently into push-based pipelines, and conversely, to enable customs to collect more information or for traders to supply more data. Once this is in place, we will have mature trade lanes, and we can start to define who should supervise which data and how such models can be implemented in collaborative chain dashboards for effective control. Interoperability requires systems to talk to each other, so we need data dictionaries amongst the disparate systems to enable them to be networked into global data pipelines, which require rules of governance to define who has access to what data in the pipelines. Innovative and less intrusive security technologies include scanning technologies that can increase the throughput without reducing the quality of images, secure hybrid composite containers to improve tamper resistance, and dangerous goods tracking systems. These sensor-based security devices installed on containers are essential for security, but they can also provide visibility in the supply chain. Additional sensory data such as cargo conditions, humidity, temperature, light, etc. can be included. And all this can be displayed in global supply chain visibility tools. Customs too will save time and increase security and efficiency by pulling in data from various sources and increasing cross-border collaboration. Serious incidents do not happen every day, fortunately, so to be prepared for them we need a toolkit for risk mitigation reasoning, which allows users to experiment with various scenarios and responses and test mitigation strategies offline. In particular, for the specific case of cybersecurity, we can test responses to cyber attacks in realistic IT situations without jeopardizing the operational environment, and, in general, we can simulate disaster scenarios and work at improving our resilience. We then need to create the tools which can deploy these strategies so that supply chains are sufficiently agile to react in real time to incidents, attacks, and even disasters, and keep systems optimized at all times. To summarize, we want to ensure that customs have early, complete, and accurate data. We will achieve this by creating secure mechanisms for data collection and distribution, which provide important collateral benefits to industry. As customs receive accurate and early data, we can move on to coordinated border management and system-based supervision. Data collection and distribution will be provided by interoperability and innovative security technologies. Once we achieve this, we can deliver vital benefits including visibility, risk management, and resilience. And these are the components we are creating to make this a reality. So here, in one single screen, is the whole core project. This is why we are doing it, this is what we are delivering, and this is how we are doing it. As we move into year 3 of the project, many of these functionalities have already been developed and deployed, demonstrating practical benefits throughout Europe and the US. For example, in Felixstowe, 4 data pipelines are already in place, which have already collected 5,000 files from 97 companies covering 3 modes of transport, sea, air and road, and including intra-EU information which provided extra insight. The results were evaluated by a team of 60 stakeholders from 12 UK border agencies, and this is what they concluded. Pipeline data is available earlier and is of better quality. It is also more accurate and detailed on routes inside and outside the EU. The improved data quality allows for better risk analysis, better risk management, and therefore improved efficiency in the deployment of resources, allowing resources to be focused on deterring illegal trade and not on delaying legitimate trade. It can even lead to the creation of green lanes and a move towards system-based supervision. For example, let us look at the Suffolk Coastal Port Health Authority. They are responsible for the enforcement of legislation relating to the import of foodstuffs. To facilitate the identification of products being imported, they have access to the Destinate Port Community system and can place holds against unique consignment numbers. Where descriptions are poor, they must apply the precautionary principle and hold pending further information. Certain import legislation can be very specific. For example, grapes from Peru raise pesticide concerns. The current system requires all grapes to be detained pending details of the country of origin. This creates additional work for the authority and the agent importer and potentially leads to delays. There has been a 40% rise in detentions, and the authority now deals with an average of 5,500 holds per month that are ultimately released without further action. If better quality data was available, these detentions would not be required, reducing supply chain costs. These savings could amount to over €1 million per year. Looking at industry, Kirkby Tyres is the biggest wholesaler of agricultural tyres in the United Kingdom and Ireland. Through the pipeline, they now have visibility over the whole supply chain, from supplier booking through to distribution centre arrival, which means that they now have certainty and exact due dates. They can therefore collate lead times with anticipated customer demand to balance stocks and order books much more effectively, which has led to a 30% saving in international supply chain costs. This is also what we are trying to achieve in Rotterdam with Canon OCE, which at present only becomes aware of import containers 3 to 5 days before arrival. After unloading, the container can be at the warehouse between 24 and 48 hours, depending on customs, who cannot plan inspections any earlier due to lack of information. Thus, neither customs nor Canon OCE can plan their personnel or their production efficiently. With the pipeline and container security devices, it is expected that a trusted trade lane can be implemented, which will reduce delays, improve resource planning, and reduce stocks whilst satisfying the needs of production. At Schiphol, Flora Holland is importing flowers by air. These products need to be cleared by both customs and the phytosanitary authorities. Currently, the phytosanitary certificate only arrives with the consignment, which means that every single consignment must wait for clearance, even though only 5% end up being inspected. If we can send the information earlier via the pipeline, the decision on whether to inspect the goods can be taken by the authorities while the plane is in the air. This could result in 95% of the consignments being able to proceed as soon as the plane lands. These are just a few examples, but in general, for customs, CORE will deliver data earlier, which will provide better quality and more detailed information. This in turn will lead to better risk analysis and better risk management, which of course will lead to better target selection and therefore a better use of resources, which will be concentrated in deterring illegal trade and therefore improving the throughput of legitimate trade. This will be achieved through enhanced cooperation with trade at the same time as promoting interagency cooperation. And every single one of these points is in accordance with the EU Strategy and Action Plan on Customs Risk Management. For trade, one of the great benefits is overall visibility of the whole supply chain, which will lead to improved accuracy of ETAs, reduced delays both in customs inspections and en route, and the consequent reduction in transaction costs and capital tied up in stock. The other great benefit is resilience, which again will reduce time for recovery as well as the costs caused by incidents, and therefore will increase profits.